decide who to cast for Harley Quinn, and how did you come up with that specific actress?
That's kind of a tough question. There's a it's one of those kind of things, like, I don't know how much I should be saying, but it's like, I think a lot of times there's the people that we're used to using, that we've used in the past, that we've done very well. But because of it's a GTV, there's a lot of marketing that's also involved, and so sometimes they want to go with like a fresher take on something. And so Melissa was somebody that I think Bruce was impressed by, with her work obviously on Big Bang Theory.
Right.
And so I can't remember if it actually was him or who brought it up, but once her name came up, we all was just like, oh yeah, she'd be great actually. And so so again, she was like, one of the people that, like, on the tops of our list, and we were lucky enough to get her. And obviously every time you use somebody new, you hope that they will work out or what will happen. But when she came in, we were all laughing, and we were all she was great. So
yeah, she's awesome. I would have never pictured her
Yeah.
as Harley Quinn, but
Right.
then I saw it was her, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit, and that's, I think, kind of the part of the fun part about our job is sometimes, there'll be, in these casting meetings, they'll be like, okay, we have to cast these people, and like, who, let's throw names out, and so, and sometimes a name will come up, and you're just like, wow, why didn't I think of that, or that would be perfect for it. So she was one of those actors.
Oh, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The actual sessions, like, were they all individual sessions where people would ever work together in a group when you're directing them, or?
Unfortunately, most of the time, just because of scheduling purposes, especially when we have just stunt cast, which is basically, we have people either from a TV series, like Melissa in this case. A lot of it is their availability. And some people who obviously work on like TV series, like Paget, and, we have to kind of work around their schedule. So again, I like, a lot of times we would love to, have an ensemble cast, but unfortunately, most of the time it's one person in a booth, and sometimes it's
Just you and them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a group of people. It's it's the producer, whoever I'm working with, the director, and obviously the voice director, usually. And so it's sort of a combination of the three, and the actor.
How does that work with voice director and director then, who, like, as that's going during that session?
Well, the voice director sort of runs the session, I suppose. They're the one that's doing most of the talking, and then we'll get initial takes, and then the director and the producer will sort of like listen to it and kind of go like, oh, we like, a lot of times they'll be like, okay, just give us 3 takes, and then we'll pick usually from the takes, or we'll be like, okay, that's not quite it, or we need to, the motivation should be more like this, or the projection needs to be more like this, and then we sort of, it's like everybody's sort of pitching in their sort of like, their idea of sort of like what it should be, and we, if there isn't a clear winner, a lot of times we'll take this one and that one, and we'll look at it once we sort of, storyboard it out and see which one feels the most correct. And we have a last line of defense, which is basically like around roughly 9 months later, once the animation comes back and the editing is sort of basically in place. We may call them in and sort of get something that sort of matches the flow of kind of what we've built, type of thing. So there's a couple of checks. The first one is to sort of lay down basically your instinct of kind of like what what the performance should be, and we've been lucky enough, and I think we've been sort of, I don't know, maybe we've done this long enough where our instincts are pretty good, but again, we always have that fail safe at the end to basically pick up something that just needs to be delivered a little bit differently.
Last year at Comic-Con, The Killing Joke made a big impact, especially with the sex scene between Batgirl and Batman.
Right.
I'm curious, because of the promo materials that have already been released about this, that are a little cheeky, there's like an allusion to like a dominatrix and such. Is there going to be a similarly shocking scene in this film?
I think it's going to be potentially different because I think Harley is already just the type of character that Harley is versus what Batgirl was, and so I think, obviously without getting too much into it, is just, I think it's the expectation of fans and what these characters and where they're allowed to go. I think maybe in Killing Joke, it was a place that fans didn't want that character to go to there. So I think that just by who the character is and sort of like what they're about, I don't think. Hopefully, it won't be that as shocking because that's kind of who she is. You know what I mean? So.
Well, can you expand on that a little bit? What do you find the distinctions being between Harley and Batgirl?
Well, I mean, Harley. I think Batgirl is supposed to be, again, like a traditional hero, right? Whereas Harley is damaged, right? She's insane. She's I don't know. There's an extreme level of codependency with that character, and there's a lostness, about her, and so I mean, I think they're pretty distinctly different.
So seeing her in a sexual context, you find that shocking.
I mean, I think she has inherently more of a sexual nature, anyways. I just don't think that she has those like morals or those sort of like distinctions of what, how she runs her life, basically.
You've had an opportunity to bring a lot of cool things to fruition. What would you say in this project was the most unique aspect as this director that you brought?
Oh, what I've brought to it.
Yes.
I mean, I have to be honest. Like most of this is, this is Bruce's baby. It's like he was the co-creator of it, and it's his idea, and he had a very, very specific vision of kind of what it was, and so a lot of it was sort of me catching up with. Like, what do you want? What are you looking for? I do a lot of like the groundwork kind of things, and he was like, no, it should be more like this, and so a lot of it was me sort of. I think I didn't get it until like about halfway through. It's like, okay, I understand kind of what you're trying to build with this. So more than like most of the other stuff that I'd done with him, I had to do a little bit more catching up of like, okay, this is totally very sort of different than a lot of things I'd worked on in the past.
What's a collaboration session like between you and Bruce Timm? How's that go?
Well, Bruce is a legend. I mean, he's like a modern legend. And so he is very different than a lot of people that I've worked with, obviously, because he's somebody that he knows like very clearly what he wants and sort of what he wants to build. I don't know if this will be boring, but like a lot of times, like when I work with on a production with like a producer, it's very loose, and it's up to me to sort of figure it out, build a lot of things. But with Bruce, a lot of times, like most of the stuff is just, building what he sort of set in place, kind of thing, and trying to figure out what is he looking for, what does he want, I mean, I guess the people that stick with him are the people that see things closer to kind of how he sees things, and people that sort of don't inherently, they don't last very long, So, again, with him, I think he sort of knows what he wants, and it takes a while. I mean, I've been working with him for so long now that in the beginning it was very difficult because he'd basically shoot down everything. I guess I gotta go.
That was the secret.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.